the last several months, as it became clear to every single person in the audience that Snow White starring Rachel Zegler was going to be a complete and total disaster for Disney, following the 2 years worth of controversy and backlash for the lead actress who could not keep her mouth shut, we finally had the movie release a few weeks ago, and spoiler alert, it flopped spectacularly. Now, although a lot of people, including myself, knew this movie would flop and lose money for Disney, I don't know how many people thought that this would not only be a Marvel's level failure, but in fact potentially worse than the Marvels when it's all said and done. Snow White has grossed over $181 million at the worldwide box office. The film has a budget of $350 million. Interesting to see people finally catching up with the real numbers that Disney spent on this monstrosity, because it is well over $300 million, likely in the $350 million range just for the production, not including the marketing. And of course, from the offset, as soon as the movie flopped in its opening weekend, as soon as we saw this backlash, what did we hear from the media? Well, this can't possibly be Rachel Zegler's fault. How could you blame her? It's just that she's had 2 years of bad press for this movie and telling people not to come to the theater if they don't support her politically, and attaching inherently divisive political messaging to the promotion of this movie. Couldn't possibly be her, right? Snow White star Rachel Zegler blamed for Disney live-action flop. But why? Why Snow White flopped? Hint, it wasn't Rachel Zegler. Don't blame Rachel Zegler for Snow White. Over and over and over again. Appropriately, this one on latinamedia.com, I'm sure they're very non-biased, was on April Fool's Day. Very appropriate, even though they didn't mean this as a joke. But I do think, and I felt for a long time, that you are going to start to see a lot of people in the media desperately try to shift the blame to Gal Gadot as opposed to Rachel Zegler. Now, you cannot like Gal Gadot as an actress. I think that's very reasonable, and I think she gave a terrible performance in this movie. However, the idea that Gal Gadot and how she promoted this movie, that's what led to this flopping, is a joke. However, these are the types of things we're starting to see. And this isn't really a surprise. This is known for a long time, but now we're just getting articles about it. Disney's live-action Snow White has been banned in Lebanon due to Gal Gadot, who's long been on Lebanon's Israel boycott list. No movie in which she stars has ever been released in the country. And you can see right here, Snow White banned in Lebanon due to Gal Gadot being on country's Israel boycott list. And they talk about how Disney's had a lot of problems, including having one banned for Captain America Brave New World in Lebanon for a similar reason. One of the actresses was Israeli. But you're going to start to see a lot of people hopping onto this and saying, well, this is why this had such problems. Obviously, Gal Gadot is hated around the world because she's Israeli. That's why this is happening. There's no doubt that there is controversy everywhere you look with Snow White. And at its core, even if Rachel Zegler had said nothing in the lead up to this, in all likelihood, this movie still would have been terrible and awful because it's a bastardization of the original and people weren't interested in watching that, especially once they knew what it was. But you cannot deny that Rachel Zegler immediately, upon her casting, the first time she came out there and shat all over the original, told everyone how this was going to be a different Snow White and a modernized version of Snow White and all this bullshit. And then, telling Donald Trump supporters that she wishes them no peace, that she doesn't want them to come to their movies, attaching the Free Palestine to the trailer when promoting Snow White. These are all things that completely and totally damaged, irreversibly damaged Snow White before it even had a chance at the box office. But I think the media, just like they've been doing this entire fucking time, they will desperately try to spin any other reason or blame anyone else they possibly can for this movie flopping other than their little star, Rachel Zegler. Unfortunately, normal people understand why this movie failed, and it was a combination thing. The CGI dwarves, not just doing an animated remake and instead completely bastardizing the movie. And of course, including someone like Rachel Zegler, who is so truly, and I'll say this word, even though it's cringe to say toxic. And I mean that in terms of she was cancerous. She was toxic to anybody that may have been interested in this. As soon as you heard her talk about herself or this movie, you were no longer interested. And Rachel Zegler, quite frankly, her big-time star movie career should be over for a while at this point. I can't imagine anyone else, other than, little small movies here or there, taking a big chance on someone who sabotaged themselves and the movie so completely, and will end up losing Disney over $300 million. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.